Pick and Pay staff at the Alex Mall in Alexandra will take part in a mass testing following 2 workers testing positive for COVID-19. The shop will not be operating today for safety reasons. The company will have to begin the process of tracing contacts and requesting them to self-isolate. Let's go live to our reporter Linda Mnisi in Alexandra. Linda, a very good morning to you. Give us a sense of how this process is going as you go and try and find out the details around this case.
A very good morning to you, Mpo. Indeed, 2 staff members have since tested positive here at the Pick and Pay store in Alex Mall. As you can see, Mpo, behind me, the shop is indeed closed, and there is like a barricade of some sort that has been placed, indicating that people can't really enter. We understand that when we were here around last week, people were being made to queue outside before going inside, but we understand that store has since been closed right now, and mass testings are currently underway. In a clip that we heard, we heard one of the store managers actually informing the employees of the employees that have also tested positive, asking them to come in today, wear their uniform, carry their permits to participate in the mass screening and testing that is currently underway. They've also asked for some of their family members who may have been showing symptoms to actually be reported and be assisted at this point. But I've got with me the CEO of Exemplar Retail, Jason McCormick. Jason, thank you so much for your time. I mean, this is something that you say you've expected. I mean, given the fact that Alexandra had already reported a case, but give us some of the guidelines and how you came to know about this incident.
So certainly we found out about it yesterday afternoon. It came through our on-site centre management. We immediately made contact with head office of Pick and Pay in Cape Town, who confirmed it. It's very important that we share information as quickly as we can, and certainly I must commend Pick and Pay for the manner in which they have gone about shutting the store down immediately, sanitising, screening, and now testing their staff. It's every minute, every hour in an epidemic like this counts, and certainly we're very pleased that Pick and Pay took the decisive action. Yes, of course we did expect it. With the sheer density of people in Alex, no one is immune to this, and I think that's what this brings home to our shoppers, is that no one is immune. This is not a Santon disease. This is right now in Alex, and obviously we're doing everything we can in terms of education, social distancing, hygiene, the face mask project that we've got going. Everything certainly within our power to try and help slow the spread of this disease and provide medical support wherever we can.
And you mentioned that it's something that you expected, but give us some of the guidelines that you gave the shops here in Alex Mall, because we understand that this mall is under your company. What are some of the guidelines that you gave to the shop owners to follow, perhaps, in curbing the spread of COVID-19?
So obviously our jurisdiction is outside the shops themselves, but we were policing in terms of their social distancing and their population densities within the stores. We've been doing, our biggest focus has been in terms of the sheer number of people that come to the malls in our portfolio, to queue them correctly with about between 1.5 to 2 meters between everyone inside the gate and outside the gate. Very pleased to say that Pick and Pay itself has had its own very orderly queuing system. Only 60 people allowed in the store in terms of the density regulations that we're following. So certainly in terms of what we can enforce, it's what's in the latest gazettes regarding COVID. And certainly we've tried to go above and beyond all of that from the get-go, knowing just how contagious this disease is and likely could be within the townships, because social distancing is a foreign concept, really, given the highly social nature of the townships themselves. No one hides behind 12-foot white walls in the townships. So yes, whilst we have expected it, we have had great buy-in from the communities, willing to now understanding the threat is real, and social distancing and self-policing themselves.
And I see the mall remains open at this time, and 2 cases here at Pick and Pay does not necessarily mean that there couldn't be others in other stores. What are some of the precautionary measures that you're taking? Will you be, encouraging some other shop owners to start testing people, given that people that may have come into Pick and Pay have also gone to ShopRite?
100%, and we've been pushing testing from weeks ago already. Unfortunately, the test kits have been not very readily available. 2 weekends ago, 400,000 test kits did arrive under the control of government. So we are hoping that we will start seeing more of these test kits, more of these testing centres coming into the townships, to the malls. There have been sporadic testing, but the big problem has been, without a doubt, getting access to those test kits and having Department of Health assistance in being able to roll out we have had, but I certainly think a lot more needs to be done, and I think the big problem is the backlog on being able to get sufficient test kits and rolling them out. The government is doing a great job in ramping this up, but as with anything, in any time of crisis, a lot more can always be done.
Let's talk about the Gauteng Department of Health and how they are assisting you in the response to this. I mean, a confirmed case may be raising an alarm for the community here in Alexandra, but how do they know that they're still safe coming here to shop for essentials?
In terms of World Health Organization and local Department of Health regulations and guidelines, we are complying with all of that, and as I say, and going beyond that. So that's the best at this time we can do. We are keeping our people sanitized through hand wash basins, through sanitizer at the mall entrances, at the entrances to the shops, social distancing within the shops and within the mall. We're doing deep cleaning daily on all touch points. We've basically doubled our cleaning complement and using very high-tech cleaning to ensure that the mall is as sanitized as possible. Unfortunately, we can only protect people when they're inside the mall. The big thing for me personally is getting the message out to the communities that once they're outside the safer environment of the mall, when they go back to their sections, to their wards, that they continue to self-distance, to look after themselves, because unfortunately our influence, as I say, ends when they leave our gates at the end of the day.
All right, there you have it, Paul. Jason McCormick there, just giving us basically some of the details and some of the measures that they've been taking to prevent the spread of COVID-19. We understand at this point that 2 of those employees have tested positive, and one can only wonder, what about the other shops that remain open around this time? And he says that they have been working with the Gauteng Department of Health and the National Department of Health really in trying to secure the test kits. Of course, this raises some questions around the local transmission, which are expected to continue to rise, possibly post the lockdown. But we're seeing it happen here in Alexandra, with these particular employees. We know that their families, have been asked, or rather the employees have been asked to check on their families and whether their families are indeed, showing any symptoms, and therefore assistance will be catered for thereafter.
Linda, we know that a few weeks ago there were reports of Alexandra residents not really staying home, ignoring the calls to stay home. And then, of course, very recently was the case around the South African National Defence Force and a person dying in that event. In terms of the response that you're now seeing from communities and residents of Alexandra as the numbers begin to increase, what are some of your observations?
Well, Paul, as previously stated, socio-economic issues come into play where Alexandra is concerned. We know that it's one of the most densely populated townships, and as previously mentioned, Minister Lindiwe Sisulu mentioning that they will be, taking some people out of the township to ensure that there isn't a spike in local infections. But it has been difficult. We spoke to some of the residents last week, and they were saying it's quite difficult living in these cramped spaces and adhering to the rules. You'll notice that when the military and the police pass them, when you look right behind them, people start coming out of the houses. So they disperse when they see them approaching. But as they pass, they then come back to the streets, which means that social distancing in the townships has been very difficult. But when it comes to issues around these malls, what we've been noting here, this is actually where the military also changes shift in the morning as well as in the evening. What we're noticing is people social distancing. Not all of the cars are allowed to come inside the mall, and people who enter the mall are encouraged to first sanitize their hands before entering into the shop. We're seeing the numbers also being controlled. But here we are today sitting with 2 cases of COVID-19, and that really perhaps indicates that this is a matter that is of serious concern and that needs to be addressed with immediate effect, Paul.